talking about ag disruption, and you focused on the idea of living soil and understanding how that works and the importance of that in your field.
Yeah, I mean, really, I think farmers for the last couple of decades have really started to understand that the soil is alive. And every tablespoon of soil, there are millions of microbes that live in that ecosystem, and they interact with that plant once it's been put into the ground. They provide food for the plant, they can kill the plant if it's a pathogen, and they work together and compete with each other for nutrients. So understanding that ecosystem, some of our most advanced farmers and agronomists know farming that crop is as much about farming the soil as it is about farming the crop. And so you have to kind of farm the whole ecosystem and really be an experimenter on your own field.
And that's part of your presentation highlighted that kind of paradigm shift in agriculture. It's not just cultivating a crop, but it's a crop and soil, because that's where your crop is going to start.
Exactly. I mean, if you look at the last 50, 100 years of innovation, there was a lot of GMOs and different varieties that were introduced to the market. There were a lot of chemicals that were introduced to the market. And overall, I think as an industry for the last decade or so, we've seen a plateau of some of those benefits and really started to realize how they were actually jeopardizing our ability to continue to grow on this planet and to really be able to make the best decisions on the field. You have to kind of also focus on the soil and the living ecosystem without just killing everything and expecting that crop to keep growing. So how do you preserve the health of that soil while getting a profit and a yield benefit?
Part of understanding that ecosystem, your explanation that I appreciated is if you have an animal and you just release it into an ecosystem without understanding it, you have no idea how that's going to work. And soils are somewhat similar to that.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of excitement right now around biologicals, which is natural amendments you can add to the soil that promise yield boosts. And some of our farmers will see great benefits on some fields and really sometimes neutral or negative benefits on other fields. And so the big question is why? And when you really understand the science behind it, it makes a ton of sense. Every field's got a different microbiome, a different ecosystem. So if you release an animal into that forest, you have to know what's going to eat it and what it's going to eat, or if it's going to live and proliferate. And so that understanding is what we're doing at Trace Genomics, building that understanding of the soil ecosystem so that when a farmer sends us one sample, we can sequence that sample, create a digital fingerprint, and very quickly analyze how the pathogens balance out the beneficial microbes and what that means for that crop and the best actions to take.
And that's been a big thing in recent years, is just the amount of data collection in general. But you guys can take that, analyze it, and give it back to these farmers in a way that they understand kind of direct action of what can be and what should probably be done.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of learnings there over the years. You know, farmers, some want more information and want to be able to make their own decisions and their own interpretations with their agronomists or their retail or independent agronomists. Some farmers don't want any information, and they just want you to tell me, what do I do next season? What do I do tomorrow? And so we provide support for that whole spectrum. We provide that raw data on that field where you can see the maps of your disease risks. And we also provide our own agronomy support so that if a farmer is only looking for that action, we provide that to them.
And just lastly, you highlighted a percentage of what you can achieve by in terms of input costs and reducing that by really optimizing soil use and understanding that microbiome.
Exactly. You know, I think there is a lot of wasted inputs and a lot of areas where we're not putting inputs that we should be to get the maximum output. There's a lot of decisions that are made that are really risk mitigation decisions, not necessarily because they're the best decision for that acre. And so for us, it's about how do we help the farmer de-risk those decisions so they have all of that information about the pathogens, the beneficials, and then they can make the best decisions for what makes sense on their farm. It doesn't matter if you're an organic farmer or conventional farmers. Farmers want to preserve the ability to grow food on their farm for generations to come. It's the greatest asset, and so we're helping them do that.